ABE'S assassins sent for prosecution, 10 killed in Donbas rocket attack, and women in controversial stand-up comedy video arrested. Those are the headlines for tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Muhammad Yusuf, and you're now watching TVS Nightline. We begin with this story. The man allegedly responsible for the assassination of former Japanese Prime Minister Abe Shinzo has been sent to the prosecutors. Tetsuya Yamagami, an unemployed 41-year-old, was identified by police as the suspect who approached Japan's longest-serving Prime Minister from behind and opened fire. The attack was captured on video and shocked a nation where gun violence is rare. Yamagami believed the former Japanese leader was linked to a religious group he blamed for his mother's financial ruin and spent months planning with the attack with a homemade gun. Wiry and bespectacled with shaggy hair, the suspect was seen stepping into the road behind Abe, who was standing on a riser at an intersection, before unloading 2 shots from a 40-centimeter weapon wrapped with black tape. He was tackled by police at the scene. Meanwhile, Tokyo locals were seen offering prayers in front of Abe's Tokyo residence, where his body is currently kept while the election is ongoing. Now, at least 10 people have been killed and more are feared trapped after Russian rockets hit a 5-story apartment building in Ukraine's Donetsk region on Sunday. Emergency service said the latest death toll from the strike is still 10 people, with rescue work still ongoing.
Several hours earlier, Donetsk region Governor Pavlo Kirilenko said that at least 34 people could be trapped under the ruins, while Chief of Staff to Ukraine's president said that the strike was another terrorist attack and that Russia should be designated as a state sponsor of terrorism as a result.
Ой, мы выскочили в подвал. Он уж 3 прилета было. Первый, вот там упала в кухне летний, вот под это. А второй уже не помним, вот эти вспышки, так мы вот так, второй нас подъезд. И мы прямо в подвал забежали. Вот нас и сидели всю ночь, и до сегодня.
Russia, which says it is conducting a special military operation to demilitarize Ukraine, denies targeting civilians.
Now, the woman in the controversial stand-up comedy video said to be insulting Islam has been arrested and remanded at Brickfields Police Headquarters for 3 days to assist in the investigation. Earlier in the day, Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL has suspended the operations of a comedy club in Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, or TTDI, in connection with the video. Federal Territories Deputy Minister Datuk Sri Jalaluddin Alias said the action was a clear message that the government would not tolerate any activities deemed offensive or insensitive towards any religion or race.
Jalaluddin said the issue has received criticisms from netizens who felt that the viral video was clearly aimed at insulting and sullying the image of Islam. The 54-second video circulated on social media showed a woman who admitted her status as a Muslim Malay in front of an audience before taking off her tudung and baju kurung to reveal her in skimpy clothing. Meanwhile, the club in its Facebook post strongly condemned the contents of the viral video and said the individual in question and her partner were banned from the venue immediately after the performance.
Now, the Malaysian Agreement 1963, or MA63, does not need a revision, nor there is a need to develop a new agreement to replace it. Efforts should be focused on returning the rights to both Sabah and Sarawak, because a new one would nullify all agreements made prior to the formation of Malaysia.
Dan dari sudut negeri Sarawak, itu adalah fundamental. Nation Agreement 63 adalah agreement yang menubuhkan negara. Dan ini telah dipersetujui oleh para pemimpin kita dahulu. Apa yang berlaku sekarang ialah kebanyakan daripada syarat-syarat yang telah dipersetujui telah terhakis. Ini apa yang kita buat sekarang untuk membetulkan syarat-syarat tersebut.
Abang Johari responded to questions following a statement by Sabah's Barisan Nasional BN Deputy Chairman, Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, who proposed a new agreement to realize Sabah's aspiration of having its rights returned as enshrined in MA63. He spoke with the press after the handing over ceremony of Kurban meat in the Gedong State constituency on Thursday, July 10th. In accordance to Article 112D of the Federal Constitution, Sarawak is required to name a representative from the Inland Revenue Board (LHDN) in order to move forward to return Sarawak's rights as enshrined in the 1963 Malaysian Agreement MA63. Such requirement was the feedback by the Intergovernment Committee (IGC) to the state government. Premier of Sarawak, Datuk PATINGGI Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun OPENG said the representation is vital as it involves sensitive information related to the federal government's income.
Kita tidak mau juga KL kena pressure. Dia mesti mengikut formula senang menang-menang antara federal dengan kita. Kalau keadaan kedudukan keuangan federal tidak terbagi, kita pun tak boleh juga memberikan tekanan kepada mereka. Tapi kalau based on formula, senang.
Flanking Abang Johari were Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri, and Samarhan Resident Officer Brahim Lumpu. Now in Kuching, Premier of Sarawak, Datuk PATINGGI Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun OPENG, performed the AIDILADHA prayers at MASJID JAMEK in Petrojaya alongside 3,000 congregants. The Premier arrived at the mosque around 7:50 a.m. together with his wife Puan Sri Datuk Amar Jumaani Tun Tuanku Bujang.
It was a festive atmosphere as the public are now allowed to worship at mosques and surahs after nearly 2 years of hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. While strict restrictions such as social distancing and maximum capacity limit have been lifted, congregants were still seen wearing face masks as a safety measure to curb the spread of COVID-19. After the prayers, Abang Johari then witnessed the sacrificial ceremony organized by Majlis Islam Sarawak and distributed to 100 Asnaf communities.
Coming up right after the break, US President wants to reorient relationship with Saudi Arabia, and Chinese badminton duo Siwei and Ya Kyung dominates Malaysia Masters. Right here on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your life, your soul. Self-satisfied, I don't need you. I want to break free. God knows I want to break free.
Minggu ini dalam Ertuğrul musim kedua.
Banu Çiçek'in kaçırılmasında bir dahlim varsa, eğer Aytol'un anamın söyledikleri doğruysa, Dodurga Obası'nın beyi Tultekin'in hatunu olarak en ağır cezayı çekmen için elimden geleni yapacağımdan şüphe etmeyiz.
Zahmetlerinizin karşılığını bugün alıyoruz Aytol'un.
Söylesene abi.
Jangan ketinggalan untuk menonton Ertuğrul musim kedua setiap Isnin hingga Kamis 9:45 malam.
Emir Saadettin civardaki Türkmen beylerini toplayıp uç beyliğini tescilleyecek.
Gümüştekin Bey'e
Di TVS saluran 122.
dikkatli vazifeyi tebliğ etmek isterim.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, an elderly woman who was reported missing on Saturday after failing to return home from her farm was found safe by villagers last night. The 88-year-old Temah Abdullah from Rumah Ngadan, Jalan Kampung Iran in Niah was reported missing around 8:13 p.m. by her family members.
According to Miri Fire and Rescue Department Bomba Acting Chief Ahmad Nizam Sapai, a team of 6 personnel from Batu Niah Fire Station was activated to the scene. Upon arrival, the team was informed by the victim's grandson that she had failed to return home after 6 p.m. and believed she may have lost her way in the farm. A search operation was conducted at 8:40 p.m. with the help of villagers around the farm area, but was postponed at 9:20 p.m. due to safety reasons. However, the Bomba team was informed by the villagers that they have found the victim at around 10:19 p.m.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today performed the Aidil'Adha prayers with thousands of congregants at the Tengku Ampuan Afzan Mosque in Kuantan, Pahang. His Majesty was accompanied by Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Aziza Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria and was welcomed upon arrival by Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail.
Also present at the mosque were the state administration and Pahang Mufti Datuk Seri Dr. Abdul Rahman Osman. The mosque Grand Imam Muhammad Hafiz Suhaili led the prayers and delivered the Aidil'Adha sermon. After the prayers, Al-Sultan Abdullah and Tengku Hassanal also witnessed the sacrificial rites at the mosque compound, which also involved cows donated by His Majesty.
Now, after winning the 2022 Malaysia Open by beating Thai duo Dechapol Pavaranukroh and Sapsiri Teratana Chai 21-13 and 21-18 last week, China's world #1 pair Zheng Ziwei and Huang Yaqiong continued their impressive form as they secured their second successive title here with the Malaysia 2022 Masters. The second seeds of the tournament came out tops against the unseeded Indonesians Renov Rivaldi and Pita Haningtyas Mentari at the Axiata Arena. Ziwei and Yaqiong were in their element right from the start and capped off their eventful 2 weeks in Malaysia with a 21-17 and 21-12 victory in 32 minutes. Ziwei said the duo's recipe for success was not to set their mind on winning every tournament, which took much of the pressure from their heads.
Hai. Aku tuai, aku dulu. Ha, kita orang TV yang mana tu? Ha, 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 ha. Reality show TV.
Hai semua.
Ini kau berada. Oh, ya. Dia nama guna dia jadi ke rumah ya.
Nyai Gunyati.
Amai belakang di tempat. Nomor 1 laut.
What are you waiting for?
Amai belacan sia.
Baru pergi kerja, udah kucing.
Ni Slivan and Gwing.
Boniface.
Kita ingat kami personal driver. Kau nak dengan pintu cabut kah? Kan aku dah ada, jangan tutup kuat-kuat.
Wow, kawan new Smart TV delivery girl. Bon Livan dengan Boni, cun lagi.
Yang cun dengan Cik Adam. Apa kata kita bet? Challenge accepted.
Frame ada banyak jenis lah. Ada besi, aluminium, karbon, semua ada lah. Folding bike, kit basikal budak. Lepas tu road basikal.
Mungkin nak magic tu Bob. Masih magic lain ke apa kah?
Sini sekali dulu. Betul Pak.
Tok trick reveal.
Memang ni Pak.
Wah, bakteria wah.
Welcome back to the Nightline. Now, concerns over China's growing influence across the globe has prompted U.S. President Joe Biden to reorganize his political strategy, particularly in Saudi Arabia, as Biden announced he will be traveling to the country to reorient their relationship via a new and more promising engagement. He made sure that his agenda is clear before visiting a country he previously labeled as pariah. Biden will be flying next week. He backtracked to when the two countries' strategic partnership lasted for the past 80 years. As of current times, he thanked the Saudi Arabia for restoring unity among 6 countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council. He backtracked to when the two countries' strategic partnership lasted for the past 80 years. As of current times, he thanked the Saudi Arabia for restoring unity among 6 countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, who are now working with experts from the US to stabilize oil markets. Though a handful of Americans detest Biden's idea, he said it is necessary to address human rights issues and fundamental freedoms. Such a case was reflected, said Biden, just as there are Israel and the West Bank. Biden's visit will be the first presidential visit to the Middle East since the 9/11 incident. His main agenda, according to his statement, will be along the line of solving the global food crisis, eradicating terrorism, and outlining human rights standards that are applicable globally. Now, in an effort to counter China's expanding influence in Asia, the United States and Thailand has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, that not only will deepen diplomatic relations between the two countries, but also ensuring a diverse, resilient, and strong supply chain cooperation.
Our countries share the same goal, a free, open, interconnected, prosperous, resilient, and secure Indo-Pacific. In recent years, we worked together even more closely toward that vision. Our economic ties are incredibly strong, and even now emerging from COVID, they will grow stronger. We're grateful for Thailand's partnership in launching with us the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. That's going to help create a stronger, fairer, more resilient economy that will help families, it will help workers, it will help businesses across the region.
Thai Foreign Minister Don Pramudwitnai said the partnership also pledged to advance partnerships in climate change, law enforcement, and security cooperation. Blinken will also meet with Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has been engaged in intense diplomacy across Asia in recent weeks and had just met Prayut on Tuesday, July 5th.
A calm returned to the streets of Sri Lanka's capital Colombo on Sunday, and protesters were jubilant as President Gotabaya Rajapaksa agreed to resign after his house was stormed amid outrage over the South Asian nation's collapsing economy. Rajapaksa announced that he will step down next Wednesday, succumbing to pressure following the weekend protests at his residence. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also agreed to resign to make way for an all-party government.
පක්ෂ නායකයන්ගේ රැස්වීමෙන් අනතුරුව ගත් එකඟතාවයේ අනුව මා විසින් එම තීරණය ජනාධිපතිතුමා වෙත පෞද්ගලිකව දන්වන ලදී. ඔහු විසින් එම තීරණය ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීමට එකඟතාවය පළ කර. නමුත් සාමකාමීව පාලනය බාර දීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවය නිසා ඔහුගේ ඉල්ලා අස්වීම 13 වන බදාදා දින සිදු කරන බව රටට දන්වන ලෙස මා වෙත දැනුම් දුන්නා. එබැවින් තවදුරටත් රටේ නොසන්සුන්තාවයක් ඇති කර කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය නොවන බැවින් සාමකාමීව පාලනය බාරගත හැකි වන පරිදි රට සංසුන්ව තැබීමට ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගේම සහයෝගය රට වෙනුවෙන් හා අපේ රටේ ජාතිය අනාගතය වෙනුවෙන් ලබා දෙන ලෙස ඉතාමත් ගෞරවයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිමි. මේ වන විට ගරු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමාගේ පෞද්ගලික නිවසට ගිනි තබා විනාශ කර ඇති අතර ඇතැම් පිරිස් ප්‍රචණ්ඩත්වය මුදා හැරීමට කටයුතු කර ඇත. එබැවින් තවදුරටත් එම ක්‍රියාවලට මැදිහත් වී නොවී සාමකාමීව නිවෙස්වලට විසව යන ලෙස සියලු දෙනාගේම වගකීමෙන් යුක්තව ඉල්ලා සිටිමි.
There was no immediate word from the president himself. The news of the president's decision triggered an eruption of celebratory fireworks in parts of Colombo. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also said he is willing to resign to make way for an all-party government, his office said in a statement on Saturday evening. It was not yet clear if this would subdue the people's anger. Throughout the day, soldiers and police were unable to hold back a crowd of chanting protesters, demanding Rajapaksa's resignation and blaming him for the country's worst economic crisis in 7 decades.
Now today, Muslims all around the world celebrates one of the two most important celebrations, and that is the Aidil-Adha. It marks the climax of the annual Hajj pilgrimage, where Muslims slaughter animals to commemorate the willingness of Ibrahim to sacrifice his son on God's command, often distributing meat to the poor. Now, despite growing concerns over inflation and high prices of goods, the celebration continues, though locals could not brush off the glaringly different atmosphere of the celebration this year. In Lebanon, the country's economic and political crisis overshadowed Eid celebrations. The country's 3-year-long economic crisis has caused soaring poverty. At a cemetery where Muslims traditionally visit their dead loved ones, trader Bilal Hachiho complained about financial difficulties.
شعيرة من شعائر الله الحمد لله اللي من الله علينا بهالصلاة وبعد الإغلاقات وبعد كورونا والحمد لله زي ما أنت شايف الجموع الكبيرة التي أتتنا لإقامة صلاة العيد الحمد لله وذلك فضل الله الحمد لله.
In Egypt, hundreds of worshippers gathered at Cairo's Amru ibn al-As Mosque for the early morning Eid prayer, with children carrying balloons and sweets.
السنة دي يعني مقبول جدا وكويس جدا برغم ان الظروف اللي احنا فيها ورجوع كورونا تاني والحاجات دي ما كناش متوقعين ان يكون الجمع بالطريقه دي والزحام وشايفين ناس كتير قوي من المحافظات ومن دول تانية ف يعني كل سنه وانتم طيبين.
Meanwhile, in Baghdad, a law student's wish is to have a team of adults that could govern the country better.
أتمنى بهذا العيد إنه رب العالمين يرزقنا بحكومة يعني صار فترة طويلة تقريبا 9 أشهر ما تشكلت حكومة لحد الآن وبسبب هاي الأوضاع التعبانة نسأل الله العزيز إنه يرزقنا بحكومة تراعي متطلبات الشباب تراعي ظروف البلد اللي يمر به لأن احنا محتاجين حكومة تسندنا برغم هذا الأوضاع يعني الاقتصادية والاجتماعية اللي البلاد يمر بيها.
Now, currency and technology has evolved simultaneously since the early trading era. Cryptocurrency acceptance is picking up. That's the foundation of digital gold. But what is digital gold and how does it differ with the real one? Well, on Sejahtera Asia tomorrow, get more insights with Ismail Muhammad and Muhammad Ridwan, who are experts in investing and collecting gold. And later, a deep look into the journey of a local artist, Meli Al-Haj, with hosts Jonathan Ding and Sharon Kazia at 7:45 a.m. on Astro TBS channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates, both locally and internationally, just a click away, by heading on to our website at www.tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Muhammad Yusuf. Thank you for watching and Selamat Hari Raya Aidil Adha. Good night.